we're talking to people like children, right? About in terms of the vaccine. Basically, the vaccines aren't safe. We don't know if they're safe, right? We have no fucking idea. So what we're doing really by giving people vaccines is we're conscripting them, like you would conscript somebody to war.
Right.
And he's saying, so we are agreeing to be conscripted in a war, and that's the truth.
Right.
It's not that these vaccines are safe. I mean, how do we know that they're safe? We don't know. That's the fact, right? We don't know because the science is like 5 minutes old. Maybe there's some good arguments for it, but we are conscripting ourselves and our children to go to war against this invisible force called COVID.
Right.
And that's what we're doing. And this is not an anti-vax or a pro-vax argument. It's just saying that it's false to say that vaccines are safe. It's bullshit.
Let me counter that with his brother's argument, because I grew up in a doctor. My father was a doctor, right? Yeah. And so I never had problems with the medicine in itself or the vaccine. What my problem is philosophical in nature. It's like how media is acting, how people are acting, how politicians are acting. And so what Weinstein says, the amazing thing about a system like medicine is that there's an inbuilt wisdom there, because it's such an old system, and it's like the majority of people who work in that system are good people and reasonable and smart people. And so,
absolutely.
So we don't, the chance that the vaccine in itself will be, problematic in the future is so small regarding to the benefits it creates right now.
Well, maybe, that might be true. And that's a good argument, and sure, but it's still a maybe. It's not an absolute. And there are people that are making arguments that it's dangerous. I just don't think we can rely on the fact that it's safe, since it's such a new.
No, but then it's a problem of policies, because you could.
It is. I think it's a problem of how you talk to people.
Exactly.
Say, don't worry, be happy. Just take this thing, and you'll be fine.
Right.
It's okay, but of course, if you talk to somebody like that, you talk to adults like their children. Then they're right. Going to react against that and say, fuck you. Also, we should note that the vaccine industry is $1 trillion industry. Right. They're making trillions of dollars here, for good or bad. Well, that's no argument against if they're ineffective or effective, right. but it is something that you could be skeptical about.
No, it's just
I don't know. His point is saying no, there might not be as safe as everybody's telling us. At least we should consider that as a possibility.
Right.
That they might not be so safe, And I've taken 3 so far, right. And I've taken my 3rd dose, because if I don't take my 3rd dose, I can't take my fucking daughter to the movies.
Right.
How much choice do I have there? And if she doesn't take her next dose, she can't go to school.
Right.
So I feel we're being conscripted in something, and we're being lied to at the same time. Right. By people saying that don't worry about it, it's okay, and all those anti-vaxxers are just a bunch of liars and fanatics and conspiratorial figures, whereas there is a discussion to be had,
right?
And there's a lot of discomfort. I have a lot of discomfort about the fact that I'm about to vaccine my daughter, even if it is perfectly safe, because I don't know, and I don't know what all the facts are, and nobody else does either. And maybe just a few people are in the know, but most of us don't really know, do we? I mean,
now what we certainly do know is that that there was a German study that said, like, children between 5 and 17, there in Germany there were literally 0 children, that died of COVID that were healthy, that didn't have like comorbidities or something. So it doesn't really make sense to vaccinate them. It's like, okay, if they want to go to school or university, it's like, okay, you can talk about
we're vaccinating them. Yeah, so we're vaccinating these kids to save ourselves because we're, the people in power are older and more vulnerable to COVID. And so basically, these kids are playing a part in a biological experiment, not for their benefit, but for the benefit of the older people, right? They're guinea pigs.
That's a very cynical perspective. I know where you're getting at. I'm not completely agreeing with this.
Well, I'm not even certain that I agree with it, but I at least want that to be one of the potential. I at least want that to be an argument that's out there, which will probably get us, canceled on YouTube. But
I think, like my understanding is that there are like mechanisms, like, we talked about, all the ratiopathy, these different things that lead people to what they think are best decisions for all of us. But they're not, it's not a conspiracy, they're not guinea pigs in the sense
I didn't say it was a conspiracy.
Historically used people as guinea pigs.
No.
Because
it's not
200 years ago, guinea pigs were a very specific term to use, to to send people down mines and shafts, and it's like,
sure. So, but the guinea pig mechanism is unconscious. So we're not consciously treating. We might be in very good faith, and we might really believe that what we're doing is true, even if we're throwing our children into Moloch beast.
Yeah.
We still might have good intentions. We still might be not bad, but maybe that's what we're doing.
Would that
if they end up being sterile in 20 if they end up being sterile in 20 years, maybe that's a conspiracy theory. I don't know, maybe it is, but
no, I mean, it's like let's go back to Girard, and what he says is that that mechanism, scapegoat and mimetic design, all this is a cultural mechanism. That's a mechanism from which culture emerges and differentiates. Yep. And but there's a layer deeper than that, and that's the pure biological evolutionary level. And from this perspective, there's no incentive that we have to sacrifice our children. So there's an impetus not to do those things. And that would be my argument, that we don't use. I don't know. It's like, it seems strange to me that we're doing this. It seems so ill-advised.
They were vaccinating kids?
Yeah.
But didn't you say that you would argue that it's not an imperative? I'm trying to understand your argument here.
I'm trying to understand my argument myself, because it's an unfinished thought. I think it's wrong. I don't think there's an evolutionary purpose to do this. I don't know why we're doing this. Maybe we're doing
I think we're doing it because of ideology. and the ideology is that this saves lives. But we don't know if that's true. We think we know it's true because it's an ideology.
Right.
But we don't know if it's actually true.
No, that's where we.
This is why the don't know thing is really
better. Is worse than the disease.
Yeah,
the collateral
the cure becomes many times worse than the disease, because especially when the cure is mixed with some kind of ideological certainty about what reality is, and
again, why? No, but again, sure, but. I tried to formulate the thought that I have. Why?
But I'm not I'm not giving an opinion here, right? This is what I'm saying. It's like, if you're in the don't know camp, almost that would make you one of the, bad people, right? Because you're supposed to have an opinion. You're supposed to know what's going on, and you're supposed to act accordingly. Otherwise, you're a bad person, right?
There would be,
but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Do you? I mean,
No, that's why I'm struggling. But the point is, there would be no incentive to make kids to guinea pigs, evolutionary wise, or even culturally. That wouldn't make no sense at all. Why would we do that?
Well, yeah, why would we do that?
Because
why does the golden Moloch or God, eat its own children? Why does Kronos eat its own children?
If this is really true, let's say it is true. Let's make a thought experiment.
Well, I'm not saying it is true. First of all,
I know. But let's make a thought experiment.
But I'm saying that we're vaccinating all these kids. We're sticking a needle in all these kids because we think it's the right thing to do.
I think we're on an interesting path here. So let's assume, out of a thought experiment, that we're doing experiments on kids. That it's like a Girardian mechanism. That we're experimenting on kids for the sake of. Okay, so
we're not experimenting on kids. I don't think that's quite right. It's that
you said guinea pigs. There's not much of a difference.
Well, I think that's unconscious. So when you say you're experimenting on kids, it's like it's a bit like it's not like they did in Romania with kids, where they isolated them and.
Okay,
it's not exactly that. It's not. There's not that ill intent behind it. I don't want to suggest that. I want to suggest that it's almost like we think it's the right thing to do. Like a lot of people think it's the right thing to do. So
again, sure. No, I get that. But I was trying to construct a thought experiment.
Okay, go ahead.
So the thought experiment. So okay, so we unconsciously, from some archaic mechanisms, we experiment, or no, experiment is not the right word. We out of those motives, we enforce regulatory rules on children. They have to take the vaccines. We don't know what it does to them. They're like, all the stuff that is encompassed by it, like lockdowns and mask wearing, and the problems that go along with it, the ways that they can't interact and learn social skills and whatnot. So
we're harming them, basically.
Yeah. So what is why?
We're harming them for their own good.
Why do we do this? Why
are we doing this?
What could be the motive behind that?
Yeah.
So is there historical data or are there circumstances that, resemble these harmful actions? Did it happen before? Does something come to mind? I don't know. It's like
what I was thinking about is that, I was getting all these biblical images in my head about sacrificing children and stuff, but very old images of that. When all you put but anyway, I don't think it's.
It's like it's Old Testament stuff. It's Abraham,
Old Testament stuff.
It's Abraham taking his son to the mountain and says, "Okay, God, tell me, I have to kill you now."
Yes, there we go.
That's what we're talking about.
That's what we're doing.
We're
trusting in God, scientism, not science, but scientism.
Right.
God says, take him and put him on a table and stick a vaccine in him. And so we got to do that, right? Because we have faith in God.
Okay, so in context of this thought experiment, if that would be true, that we are harming children intentionally,
because we're doing it for the good, we're doing it for the greater good.
Then it's an Abrahamic mythos, Then it's like, or not. Does it make sense? I don't know.
Maybe it is. I think that's a good hypothesis and perhaps a good way to think about it. And that's the reason it's a good way to think about it, is because it's a deep old story that's mythological that we haven't really figured out yet. As you say, like that's what these stories are. They're stories that have no end to their their potential meanings.
Right.
So we start there because we have no other answers.
Right. Okay, so we have a meme, right? That's a meme, an information unit, like a story, like an archetypal image or a scenery.
Yeah.
So where does it come from? Why would Abraham do that? Why would he sacrifice What's the background for the story?
Because he thought it was the right thing to do. And because God told him to do it, and because he was faithful to God. So because he was faithful to God, God was testing him.
Right.
And the story is that he did the right thing by actually taking because it's an ambiguous story, right?
Right.
He did the right thing, but we don't, from a feeling point of view, it doesn't seem like he did the right thing. It seemed like he was blindly obedient to a tyrannical force. I mean, from a modern perspective, that's what it seems like.
But in the story,
even though the story is supposed to be telling him he had faith, right? He had faith to do the most difficult thing that he could, and give up the most difficult thing.
What did he gain after that?
For the highest principle.
Did he gain something in the story? I don't remember. What's the story going like? Did he receive something from God after doing the sacrifice right, or like intending to do the sacrifice right?
Well, he was, I think he passed the test, right? So
that
he
was
became.
It. What a shitty test. That was the reward.
And God stopped him. So there's a bunch of ways of interpreting that. You could interpret that in a Girardian sense. That this is the beginning of the end of the sacrificial lie, right? So because in early history, there was a lot of child sacrifice. For one thing, because people, were hungry and they didn't have food and they couldn't support the child. So maybe they'd have to sacrifice the child, or for religious reasons, or that Girard's argument is that sacrifice was everywhere in the ancient world. And that the biblical stories brought a realism into that, because in the mythological stories, the hero is always sacrificing for the good, and the person being sacrificed becomes a god. Whereas
right.
this is a reverse story, right? It's like we're starting to understand the lie of the scapegoat myth.